Harald Hardrada of Norway is often called the Last Viking, and his death at Stamford Bridge in 1066 is traditionally held as the end of the Viking Age. The guy had a crazy life. Survived the battle that killed his brother Saint Olav, who is still Norway's patron saint. Ended up in modern-day Turkey. Served as the leader of the Varangian Guard for multiple Byzantine emperors. May or may not have been the boy toy of a Byzantine empress twice his age. Accompanied that empress to the Holy Land. Was a key player in at least one Byzantine coup. And once that relationship soured, got thrown in prison and had to stage a daring jailbreak while Constantinople was under siege by the Kievan Rus. Then he went home and co-ruled as King of Norway alongside his nephew Magnus until Magnus's death when Hardrada became the sole ruler of Norway. He sailed around exploring a bit, beefed with Sweden and a few of his other neighbors before deciding he wanted to be King of England in his 50s and invading, and you know how that ended. The name Hardrada means hard ruler, and that was a name given to him by his own people. He was a tyrant, and there's not really a nice way to put it. He was not a nice person at all. But despite his many moral failings, when I was reading his biography, The Last Viking by Don Hallway, what struck me was how Harald never had a problem getting men to follow him. That is a really big deal if you think about it. All these proud Norwegian Vikings and Varangian guards stayed with Harald through all the ups and downs of his career, from being a homeless prince to the Holy Land, to being on the outs with the Byzantine emperors, back to Norway and into foreign conquests. Yeah, we can assume that Harald rewarded his followers well. But the fact that he had so many men who stayed with him through so many radical ups and downs is kind of insane. Whenever we read about Harald, we read about him leading men. It got me thinking about how those men might have experienced Harald versus his enemies or the people he wanted to tax. From reading stories about his hall and feasting culture, he sounds like a really fun guy if you were lucky enough to be one of the boys. This whole idea of a hard ruler / tyrant who is experienced as generous and winsome by his inner circle was an idea I really wanted to explore. A lot of times we wonder why so many people follow tyrants, and it's because they're not usually tyrannical with everyone. Tyrants are often very charming and magnanimous with the right people. I'm getting to explore these ideas a lot with the character of Senric's mentor Alvrik in Oath of the Wolf. I didn't want to write Alvrik as an outright bad man, but as a complicated man. Different people can have vastly different experiences of Alvrik based on their relationship to him. I wondered how Senric, for example, might get a different version of Alvrik than Brynn, or how both their experiences of him might change as their standing with him changed. Yes, Alvrik is heavily inspired by Harald Hardrada and Svein Forkbeard, and I have self-indulgently sprinkled a few Easter eggs in Alvrik's backstory for my fellow early medieval history nerds. Remember, you can meet Alvrik as well as a host of characters, familiar and new, in Oath of the Wolf. Oath of the Wolf launches in ebook, audiobook, and paperback at fantasyromance.com on Tuesday, October 21st. But if you sign up as an early bird VIP, you can get early access 7 days sooner on Tuesday, October 14th. Forbokala!